back for our third game of the day. Insight taking on Typical Mistakes, a rematch of our first match, or of the first match between these two teams. Today is just not, it's one of those Fridays, man. Just having a hard time getting it together. Actually got some sleep last night. Haven't really had a chance to wake up yet, but nonetheless, so happy to have you guys spending time with us here on the American Dota League. I'm Aaron A.C. Chambers, joined live by my newest co-casting partner in Austin, the Capitalist Walsh. And you and I were talking a little bit during our downtime, short as it was, because we did just decide to jump right in to game number 2. And no, Insight really not with the best showing in their first matchup of the day. But both of us, we've seen this team play. They're not, and there's no kind way to say this, so I'll just put it bluntly. They're not as bad as they looked in game 1. They just aren't.
Yeah, they still need a lot of work, but they're a better team than this. So hopefully they're game 1, maybe that was just a warm up. Maybe they went into the draft going, we don't feel confident about our picks. We don't know what we're doing against typical mistakes picks. Sometimes it's harder when you don't see those normal heroes. Maybe they don't have a practice versus Kunkka. He's a relatively new hero in the scene. Juggernaut, not often picked. We see him occasionally. And especially, it all depends on your scrimming partners. When you're a team like this and you have regular scrimming partners, it's up to, them and yourself to be able to expand those drafts and deal with those kind of heroes. So maybe they just didn't feel confident about that. So now that they've seen what can happen in game 1, hopefully they'll step up things in game 2.
Bad Rider and EO banned out by Typical Mistakes. No DS, no Keeper of the Light, as they're taken out by Insight. And, this is a situation where, we talked briefly about it in game 1. And even just talked a little bit about it again during our brief little amount of downtime. And I'm never one to point to it as an excuse, but it really did seem to be some kind of a ping issue. And that's to take nothing away from the play of Typical Mistakes, so don't misconstrue that. But, when you see a Juggernaut run up to a Clockwork 3 or 4 times in a row, auto-attack him twice before the clock even reacts, that's usually going to be indicative of some sort of a technical problem. And we just saw a lot of weird things like that happen. Just really slow reaction time, some really poorly timed hooks from the Clockwork. Clockwork really was underwhelming in his performance in game 1, just did not feel his influence really across the entire game. And you can't have that out of a mid-clock. If you're going to prioritize the Clockwork, he has to be able to take over those early to mid-game teamfight situations. And if I'm Insight here, I think I'm going to pick something just very easy to execute. There is something to be said for that. Draskell and I, whenever he and I used to cast together, used to talk extensively about how important that is in a lineup. Ease of execution. Gyrocopter, a nice way to start there. Not the highest skill cap hero, but a hero who can certainly take a game over in any stage of the game.
Yeah, leading into that was something that I wanted to say about Typical Mistakes is Kunkka, he's sort of exploded into the scene, right? We saw him picked up in G1 and everybody was like, wow, he's super effective, look at that. And other teams started playing around with Kunkka, but you've noticed even in these really high-level competitive games, teams who are picking up Kunkka, they haven't really been executing them well. When you have like some of the combos, Shattered Demon Kunkka, you see a lot of missed torrents, and even just the X marks the spot and torrent. You see a lot of misplays like in competitive tournament games. And it's because teams haven't really played around with Kunkka enough. It's been a long time since Kunkka's been in the scene. Back in Dota 1 was, a lot of these teams played in Dota 1, but ever since then, they haven't been playing him a whole lot. So it's taken a lot of time for some of these players to reacquaint themselves with Kunkka. And Typical Mistakes, they did very, very well. All of those torrents, I don't think I saw a single missed torrent. All really good X marks the spot, so really well done by them. And I like their draft already. I love seeing a Skywrath Mage, baby.
Skywrath Mage, I don't mind it at all. The problem I see with it is to take it this early before you see a mid pick out of Insight. That can be counterpicked pretty effectively. Picking an OD would really cause Skywrath Mage some problems. Astral Imprisonment being able to reduce his mana, reduce his effectiveness entirely. And if I'm in Insight Esports shoes, that's probably my immediate. And granted, you can run a Skywrath as a lane support. I've seen it before. It really kind of defeats the purpose of the hero, though. He's definitely a snowball hero, a hero who wants to get ahead and stay ahead and just rely on his damage. But the one thing Typical Mistakes is going to have very early on, and I do like their front 3 a lot for this reason, is they are going to be able to, based on nothing but levels alone, apply some pressure. Lifestealer with an excellent method of getting into a fight, being able to infest into the Clockwork and then pop out after the cog. Skywrath Mage has excellent range on all of his abilities, and he has a very, very strong silence on top of everything else. That'll be effective against a Gyrocopter before he gets up a BKB. So Typical Mistakes with their lineup. I don't think this is a lineup they're going to look to farm. This is a lineup that's going to look to fight. And okay, So we get a Zeus and a Mage. I'm all right with that. I'm going to guess that Zeus will probably, well, I honestly don't know. I know he's been picked in a number of games over the preceding 6 months and going even back before that. I've never had a chance to cast a Zeus, though.
Yeah, he's a really exciting hero to play with. I love seeing him come back. Shout out to, of course, Kai P, who's really been running him a lot. That RTZ Zeus middle, very, very strong. And I was about to say, I agree with what you're talking about. Skywrath Mage, he's a little bit iffy as a support sometimes. That silence can be very, very powerful, or it can be really useless. And the magic amplification is really something that's very, very important. And with a Lifestealer, he's a hero that obviously puts out 0 magical damage. So in the laning phase, there isn't a whole lot of synergy there. But there is a lot of synergy with him and Clockwork, and then now with Zeus as well. And this looks to be another support Spirit Breaker. Did you see that game?
I casted that game.
Nice. that was brilliant. I loved it.
Yeah, fluff on the support SB, and it's one of those pocket strats that, I mean, it's so hard to call if that's actually viable or not, if that's something that we're actually going to be able to see on a consistent basis, because there is an element of surprise involved with that kind of a draft and, at that level. And then, of course, skill difference does play a big part in whenever you get closer to the top of the field. You end up with, much closer skill gaps. But Lycan rounding out Insight Esports team, and tell you what Insight's going to be able to do. They're going to be able to push and fight like all hell. Lycan plus a Juggernaut, a lot of push there. How they lane this is going to be a little interesting to me. I'm going to guess that's going to be, I mean, it's so hard to call. They could offensively tri-lane it if they really, really want to. Rubik and Visage can work in that role. They don't have a dedicated mid unless it's going to be the Gyrocopter. Then they can tri-lane the Lycan and send the Jugger to the off lane. That's very possible. And TM, I mean, you see the Clock. Clock craves a solo lane. Lifestealer obviously wants farm. They have 2 heroes who could work in mid, seeing Ryu grab the Zeus. And Sliceal on the Spirit Break will be a support Spirit Breaker. So, I don't know, man. Going to be fun nonetheless, and just happy that we get a chance to see something a little bit different here on the ADL. If you're just tuning in, this is our halfway point of the day. We got 5 matches on the docket for today. This is the second meeting, 2 in a row, for Insight and Typical Mistakes. Then we'll be moving on to a different matchup later on. I'm Aaron AC Chambers, joined by Austin Walsh, better known as the Capitalist. So, we'll take a run through our lineups. I didn't do this in our last game. We got a little preoccupied talking about other things. Then we'll break down the laning phase afterwards. We got SS handling the Juggernaut. We're going to have Lycan played by Plock. Visage handled by Violence. Rubik going to be played by Dudu. That's what it's spelled as, D-U-D-U. I'm not saying the other part. Dudu. Gyrocopter going to be handled in mid by Arjarath. And on the other side, we've got Sliceal playing on the Spirit Breaker. The Skywrath Mage going to be played by I'm a Sheep. Looks like they'll both be supporting. Cakes will be handling the Clockwork Goblin. Goody will be playing on the Lifestealer. And that Zeus pickup going to be going mid, handled by Ryu.
Yeah, right now, I have to say I really enjoy Typical Mistakes lineup. What you were saying earlier, I don't think that Spirit Breaker is going to be, I don't think he's really going to come into the scene and be this big support hero. He is fun to watch as a support hero, and I do think he's definitely viable in the competitive scene now that he has essentially, 2 different guaranteed stuns that go through Magic Immunity, and then the potential bash hits as well. I think it makes him, he's been getting these sort of stealthy buffs here and there, and I think it's really made him viable. This final patch has really sealed it in, I feel. And I think I would prefer to see him like some sort of safe lane solo or something like that. But I do believe that he is a very strong hero that we're going to see more in the competitive scene. Whether that's support or not, I don't know. But Lycan, another hero we don't usually see in the scene. Insight's going to be trying to run that, and that's going to be really interesting. I'm not sure if because right now it looks like Lycan's going to be trying to bait out, like the Clockwork could come into lane or something, because Juggernaut, I'm not exactly sure what they're doing.
Yeah, it's a little weird. The Juggernaut can work in the off lane. I see it all the time. And are they going to run a duo mid here? Is that the plan? And then jungle the Juggernaut? Or are they just really, they're going to telekinesis the Clockwork back. Jug's slow to the party. And they're going to try to block him out. Lycan already trying to block his path of retreat. Nope, not going to be able to get to the angle of attack. And I'm not sure why. I mean, there's a much more efficient way to run this. Maybe they're going to try to jungle the Jugger. I mean, he can do it. He's stacking up. It looks like he's going to pull here shortly. Yeah, he will just go ahead and pull the lane. So a support Juggernaut that started out with a Stout Shield. And I guess what they're doing is just trying to get him off to a good start in the jungle before he either heads to the off lane or he goes off on his own. So they're just going to abuse the pull camp for now.
Yeah, it's something that Lycan, he has very hard time. Since his nerfs, he has very hard time in the jungle. You can still do it, but it takes a lot of really interesting things. You have to focus on the hard camp. You have to buy out certain items and then suicide yourself in order to save time. It takes a lot of... it's not the easy jungle that it used to be. So Insight's doing something really interesting here. We'll have to keep an eye on it because they actually smoke up already. They're going to do a 3-man smoke and try and gank with this early level 1 Juggernaut. I mean... Blade Fury does a lot of damage. Yes, early on it does a lot of damage, and it's very good for your securing easy kills, but roaming the Juggernaut, I don't know. We'll have to see if this works out for them.
It's very all in, and this should be an easy kill for them if they catch Zeus, and Zeus is going to be ruining straight up the top. They still haven't been spotted, so they're in great shape. This actually is, the timing on this is really good. And he's going to go ahead and loop all the way around. I don't know if he sniffed this out. Nope, there's Rubik, and... he is actually going to turn away. Here comes the return up. Looks like he wanted to charge. The ward there, of course, spotting out Rubik on the high ground. But yeah, like say, and as you said, it's weird, and you know, this is the reason why Zeus isn't run competitively very often. He is very gankable, and given the mid is already the thoroughfare for gank attempts early on, it's just a big chance you take. If he gets behind, he begins to feel very, very useless very, very quickly. But right here, they're spending so much time with the Juggernaut in particular, who's getting nothing done. He's just level 1. And if he doesn't catch up soon, he's going to fall out of relevancy and become nothing but a roaming heal bot, basically.
Yeah, I mean, Healing Word is definitely very, very strong, but it's not worth, I feel, it's not worth picking him up. If they wanted to run some sort of jungler or roamer or something like that, you know, there are other better heroes that they could have picked up. Bottom, actually, Cake's able to get really aggressive on Lycan.
And you can often, you know, talking to Bulba about this, a guy that I talked to, yeah, he's going to get this kill here. That, Bulba talks about that all the time. At level 3, level 4, Clockwork can kill just about any melee hero in the game if they get caught in cogs in a bad position. And he just basically let Cakes get on the other side of him, made sure that he would have to run past Cakes with battery assault. And just a really unfortunate play from Lycan, an Insight already in a very deep hole. Lycan dying once already, that's even more of a good start for that Clockwork. But more to the point, again, the Juggernaut still just completely useless, sitting at just level 2, has added next to nothing to his inventory. And they're not even doing a great job of juggling their experience on their supports. Level 1 with 20, make it 60 XP or Visage. Insight, once again, having another subpar game.
Yeah, I feel that they're trying something here, and it's just not working out for them. Yep. You know, Juggernaut is not a very reliable jungler for a reason. I think they were looking to, like, maybe stack, get Juggernaut to level 3, and then try and pop a stack with the help of, like, you know, Fade Bolt from Rubik and then the spin. But that's never going to happen. Cakes is doing a really good job with that early experience and the early gold that he just picked up. It's going to be impossible to shut him out of lane. He's already level 5. The support makes the wrong mistake, and you're going to see Cake picks up yet another kill. So they're going to have to be really careful trying to shut him down.
Here in mid, Gyrocopter is honestly not doing that great either. Ryu's just banging away on him. And 25 CS to 15. Just really up. Now Cakes will be telekinetic. Slow him with Grave Chill. Cogs go down, though. And he eats some damage, but does manage to wand his way through. Magic stick his way through. Has a salve and a bottle, so he's got a ton of regen. Up atop, typical mistakes recognizes. Like, all right, that's fine. We'll go ahead and take a tier 1. Sliceal is level 3, level 6.5 on the Lifestealer. The Skywrath is still quite low level. He's going to be playing out of 5, so he's at just level 3 with nothing but brown boots in the inventory. But Ryu, already pretty dominant, has his arc boots up. With him being level 6, he'll be ready to start pouring out some damage soon enough.
Yeah, and there's something to be said. Typical Mistakes, they do have a certain amount of synergy. They have some global capabilities and some long-range initiation with Clockwork and Spirit Breaker, mixed in with the global power of Zeus. There's a lot of synergy in the mid-game, but early on, Zeus is one of those heroes that you want to see either an aggro try with or some sort of a roaming supports that really make sure that they keep their eye off of Zeus. While Spirit Breaker is a hero who really needs levels early on. He really does not serve well at level 1, level 2. He doesn't want to fight there. So there's an opening for Insight to either put pressure on this Zeus and gank him, where Spirit Breaker and this Skywrath Mage wouldn't be able to respond well, Like, they could just constantly be ganking this Zeus, but they're not. They're leaving him open. He's getting perfectly fine levels. He's already level 6.
Yep.
Like, at this point in the time, Typical Mistakes, they're ready to move their supports around a little bit.
Yep. This all comes down to what we were talking about with the Jugger. They've just, I mean, and again, even balancing the experience gain on their supports. Hold on, there's a gank onto the Gyro. He's going to need a lot of damage, and the ulti there from Zeus to help clean things up. They're going to try to reinitiate. Sliceable does end up dead. Got a little bit too far forward after the charge, but trading that support Spirit Breaker away for the Gyrocopter, which was one of the few heroes actually having a decent game for Insight so far. That's going to be pretty acceptable to them. And look at the CS. Top 3 on the board, all belonging to Typical Mistakes. The Juggernaut is still, if he's a, I was going to say there's no way he's even level 5 yet. And sitting, he actually built a Soul Ring. So Soul Ring on Jugger, I mean, I don't mind it, but it's pretty indicative of where he is with himself right now. He knows he's got a million years to go. He doesn't really have a place in lane. And he's just not going to feel relevant. So that Soul Ring pickup almost entirely just saying, okay, I'm going to have to jungle forever and still have reliable man in a fight if and when. But this is beginning to look like one of those games that Typical Mistakes is going to be able to snowball very soon, and they know it. As they move 3 down to bottom, there's going to be 1 TP reaction. Block is there. He'll be joined by his teammate. That'll be the level 3 Visage. And if they want to engage this, they probably could very easily dive them.
Mm-hmm. Goody. I don't know whether he's just not taking this game seriously. He went for early Midas, right? And he had the goal to pick up upgraded boots. And I was interested to see if he was going to go phase, and he bought out drums.
Yeah.
Like, he's walking around with no boots. He knows he's not going to be interrupted whatsoever. He's just going to focus on farming.
Just enjoys to feel the grass beneath his feet. They are already being pinned back, and this is a problem you run into. Map control is almost entirely in favor of Typical Mistakes right now. And Insight unable to reliably come out from under their tower, and they are very smart in recognizing that. They're not trying to play beyond their means. But as you mentioned, Goody, with his Midas up, he's had that Midas for a while. Drums up, he's in great shape. They're just going to be able to fight so soon, and I don't know what Insight can do about it. They just, I mean, Gyrocopter doesn't even have his phase boots up yet, and we're 9 minutes in. He was up against a Zeus that he should have been able to in theory, harass out of lane almost indefinitely with Flak Cannon. And he didn't even, actually, he maxed Rocket Barrage. That's bizarre. Why would you max Rocket Barrage against the Zeus in mid?
Yeah, honestly, I mean, I know he wants to be able to fight early, actually.
Yep, Reganese back, off goes the ulti. They do manage to pick him off as he got out of trouble, but here comes the pain train. Visage, actually, will be able to get away because of the call down. Unfortunately, not going to be able to say the same about Argerath as he's cleaned up. Spirit Breaker and company chasing down Rubik. Open wounds ready in 4 seconds. Telekinesis buys him some time. They're going to be looking for a bash if they can get it. Little RNG love, didn't get it there. Open wounds range, there it is. Just at the edge of the range before the tower, and that'll be another kill going to the lifesteal. 3-4, Insight's on the board, and they're doing all right, at least in terms of kills. Haven't checked the gold graph. I try to hold on towards 10 as long as I can. They're just going to go for this. Lycan, going to be charged. Cakes drops down the cogs, and there's the ulti. He's cleans up. Visage, next on the list. He's gone. Juggernaut, jeez, Jugger just took 1 lightning bolt for 3/4 of his health because he is so under-leveled. And yeah, 1 more will do it. That's everyone wiped out in a span of about 60 seconds. Not a full 5-man wipe because they did have the respawn. Looks like Sliceable is the sacrificial lamb. I get it because he's a cow. But he's the sacrificial lamb down in the trees there. 12 kills on the board, 7 belong to TM. The gold pretty heavily in their favor. 7,500 at 10 minutes in. The experience right in that range as well.
Yeah, I mean, that Juggernaut, that wasn't even with the synergy of Ancient Seal up on him. When you get that maxed out Ancient Seal, you're talking about one of the biggest regular nukes in the game. 350 damage middle.
Yep, that's a super dead Visage. And here comes the call down. They are going to be able to telekinesis him back, so they will get some revenge. Ryu's there. Yeah, trading a gyro for the clock, not the best decision. He's going to die for this, and why wouldn't you really? Another one, make it a double kill. He's going to have level 2 ulti up very soon. He's on pace for level 11 very, very quickly out of mid here. And 1,600 gold already in the bank. 4-1 and 2-3-0 and 0 on the lifestealer. And yeah, the rich get richer, and we're not done. Here comes the charge from Spirit Breaker. That's a very sad Lycan. That is a very sad Lycan. Silence for 8 seconds. See you back in the base.
Yeah, I mean that lifestealer, the global ganking power that they have with the Spirit Breaker, with Lifestealer jumped inside the Spirit Breaker, you could have a rocket anywhere, and then that Zeus ultimate, which you mentioned is going to be level 2 soon, and that's just way too much damage. They even try and get a kill on middle, but Juggernaut, he's only level 7. It's, I mean, considering the fact that he jungled, that's not terrible, but, you know, Lycan's level 7 as well. They're just so behind in experience, and there isn't really any big way for them to come back. Their idea was maybe split pushing and pushing in towers early, the healing ward mixed with Lycan Wolves, maybe, and the control that Gyro gives them with team fight, but typical mistakes, their gank squad is just too heavy, and obviously they lost their laning phase just extraordinarily bad.
Yep. And I didn't mind Insight's draft at all. They had a team that was going to be excellent at sieging towers. And as you said, split pushing with the Lycan. And, you know, hell, even if you don't want to split push, just flat out 5-man pushing. They should have had a great team for that. And they just got so far behind in golden levels. And here comes the pain on Lycan. He's going to be silenced out. There's the ulting. And they are going to break off the charge. And there's going to be the telekinesis. Rage out on the Rubik. Open Wounds is there, healing through the damage, taking what he can, but the Infest gets you back up and fighting. Slice'll silenced out. Visage going to turn, pour some damage out. There's the Reinfest back out from the LS as he breaks in. Now the Omni Slash, finally some damage done by the Jugger. Slice'll going to try to juke in the trees. Gives him the old okey doke. That allows him to re-engage. Plock, taking damage from the Zeus and the Lifestealer once again. Zeus may, nope, never mind. Thought he was going to get stunned. There's actually going to be a Veil of Discord coming out on Ryu, so he is in serious mode about his magic damage. That plus Ancient Seal, that's a lot of damage.
Yeah, that's what's the math here?
A million. It's a million points of damage. It may
it's
as well
something like 61% extra magic damage coming out. You know, you only start out with 25% magic resistance, so like those nukes are just there's no one on Insight's team that can survive through the full nuking combo if they have that magic reduction.
Yep. It's kind of silly. But, you know what? This is how you snowball. And they are snowballing hard. 8-13, 21 kills on the board. The gold is already... Yeah, the gold is actually cracked, and you don't see this that often. I cast a lot of Pro Dota. You do not see teams hit that threshold where they're gaining 1,000 gold per minute lead. But that's happened here today. 14 minutes in, just south of 15,000 gold, their advantage. So they hit that... and this is what, you know, and again, I'm not trying to berate Insight, more trying to applaud typical mistakes. But yeah, to hit that threshold, even in situations where it's one team just running over the other, I've seen 11-minute GGs not hit that threshold. So anyway, they're going to look to add to it as they look to take a Roshan just short of 15 minutes in.
Yeah, this might be a good opportunity for them, but the gold lead is so hot.
Yep, that's a dead gyrocopter. And there's the... Wow, that was from downtown. There's... I can't even call it out, they're dying so fast. I seriously can't even get the words out. They're just getting nuked to death. And Lifestealer is going to look to clean the Visage up. He has open wounds as soon as he gets vision and doubles back. Guesses correctly. Not even going to use it, just going to chase him down. Now he does. One last shot. Roshan will be cleaned up again. But yeah, Insight had a iffy game 1 and arguably an even more iffy game 2.
Yeah, that was pretty much their only hope was like some sort of typical mistakes is like 5-manning the Roche pit and they get in, you know, a big gyrocopter ultimate, and even then it would be an extremely uphill battle. But Cakes jumping outside the pit, hitting that hook shot, and just blowing up the gyro before he could do anything. He really needs his BKB. He's obviously working on that, but all that he has is the Ogre Club right now, and we're actually going to see maybe some kills on middle. They can dive tier 2. They can dive wherever they want at this point.
They could dive the well, just about. The looks like he did decide to break off the pain train. But, I mean, you hate to be in this situation as a caster, but I honestly don't know what they can do. They don't have what they need out of the gyro. They don't have any BKBs near completion. Gyro, like you said, is still about 2,600 gold away from having his BKB done. The magic damage that's coming out of TM is just so gargantuan that not having any mitigation for it really... I mean, outside of TM just grouping as 5 and running headlong into, as you said, a gyrocopter ulti, and even then, the Juggernaut and the Lycan are just not doing any damage. Jug's got phase, he's got a soul ring and a bracer. And Lycan's got a wand of Bassian boots. I mean, and it's not as if he's got that and then he's got a big item back at the base. That's it. That's what he has. CS, he's at 49. He's behind Zeus right now. The Lifestealer's at 105 at 16 minutes into the game, which is a sick good farm. And you look at the kills, 7-0. It's going to be a tough row to hoe, to put it about as mildly as I can. And this is going to be an assault cure done on Guden, by the way.
Oh, man. That's just an insane amount of physical damage that he's going to be able to put out as well now. Mixed with the Spirit Breaker and his charges and the disables that are provided from that, he can just beat on heroes. Even if they did have 3,000, 4,000 health or something, he'd still be able to lock them down. Cake's picking up yet another easy kill for him. He's going to have Aghanim soon.
Yep. Just about 200 gold from his axe. And really at this point, I mean, I don't know what it like. Insight doesn't have any reliable disables at all. That's something we really didn't talk about. They've got Telekinesis and Homing Missile, too. I mean, Telekinesis is awesome at what it does, but you usually don't think of it as a disable. It's more of a positioning ability. I mean, obviously, they are disabled while they're in the air, and if you're very good with it, you can disable one or two briefly whenever they come back to the ground. But just so far as having any kind of AoE stun potential, having any kind of way to initiate these fights, they just don't have it outside of Calldown, and Calldown's much better used as a secondary ability after primary initiation. They've got some slows and such, but they just don't have the tools. They really don't have the tools to slow this down. And even just the range on the abilities of Typical Mistakes. And, you know, not just meaning hook, but just the fact that Ryu and company, now they're going to charge in. And he's going to go ahead and break off. There's the ulti going to be spent. The Infest back out. They're going to try to go for it. Skywrath drops the ulti, gets the job done. We see one drop, and we're going to see the Visage be second on the list. That's 3 down, and making another one. As that's a double kill for Slice'll. 4 down, quick, fast, and in a hurry. 22-8. This will be at least a tier 2. And again, that gold. Yeah, they're staying on pace, believe it or not. It's one thing to hit that 1,000 gold per minute lead gain mark. It's another to maintain it for 5 minutes, which is exactly what they've done.
Yeah. And you were talking about the disables from Insight. Even if they did, like, they have some decent slows, but you throw in Spirit Breaker's Empowering Haste and then also drums being activated by the Lifestealer and that Gyrocopter slow, even the Visage slow, they just don't do anything whatsoever to these heroes. AC, they can break open the base now.
And they're going to re-engage out. Here comes Jug looking for some revenge. Unfortunately, he's out there in no man's land. Will be pursued, silenced, and sent back home. Up at the tier 3, the battle rages. Lycan trying to do what he can. The Aegis will be popped. Calldown's going to connect as well, but the entire team's so tanky right now that it's hard to imagine what they can even begin to do. And right now, the tower damage coming out of the tier 3s and 4s is really the biggest worry for them. They land another hook and get a kill, and the GG is called. So, Typical Mistakes, who, well, I know, again, a team that, in North America at least, known as a team to watch, didn't have a lot of games under their belt. They put 2 more under their belt here today, and they get 2 wins. That improves their record to 4-1, moves them into a tie with Dignitas for 4th place, and keeps them in the running at the top half of the standings. You know, it's, again, this game didn't feel quite as... Don't worry, Violence. I will not delete you. I will happily add you. But anyway... Insight really struggling here today. But again, just, you know, 2 things I want to say. 1, I've seen them play. They struggled today. They're a better team than they showed themselves to be today. And that happens. Everyone has bad games from time to time. The other thing, there is no shame in getting stomped in this tournament. One of the things I love about the ADL, and one big reason why I'm honored to be a part of it, is because this is an excellent opportunity for teams that are still looking to find their legs beneath them in terms of being a truly top-tier competitive team, trying to get to that next echelon. These are teams that are willing to take some beatings, and you're going to. Whenever you're going up against teams that are more established, more experienced, and have been playing together longer, there are going to be some lopsided losses. And we saw one here today. We saw 2 already here today out of Insight. But I want to applaud Insight for being brave enough and having the fortitude to say it doesn't matter. We don't care. We don't care, you know, who says we're bad. We don't care if we get stomped. If we're learning and we're developing, that's worth our time. And we're willing to put our pride on the line in order to try and gain that experience and gain that knowledge and have the chance to compete against some of the best teams in the world. Once again, the ADL rolls on. We got 2 more matches ahead of us today. I'm Aaron AC Chambers, joined live by Austin Walsh, better known as the Capitalist. Now, if you've been enjoying what Austin had to say, where can they find more about you, my friend?
You can find me over on Twitter at Dota Capitalist, and also I've got my own little channel that I've started up, and I'm in a bit of a transition period right now, so I'm not doing any main casting. I'm enjoying being able to cast with casters like yourself and Toby. But over there, Twitch TV/Dota Capitalist. Eventually, I will get back to casting over there. So
there you go. Make sure you keep up with him. Once again, he's Austin Walsh. I'm AC. You can find me on Twitter as well. It's at a. See, our 3rd match of the day heading your way, gonna be Insight.Avell. No, never mind. Our 4th match of the day gonna be Team Dignitas taking on Denial Esports. Looking forward to that. And our day will conclude, I should say, with Pain Gaming International taking on Typical Mistakes. They'll be playing once again their 4th match of the day. Stick with us, guys. Our 4th game of the day coming up next.